I am currently involved in a little research project. I can't get into the details as to what the project's about. It's a little hush hush right now. But what I'm trying to do is see if there are any ABT equivalents out there in the world of therapy. Like I said earlier, we're well tapped into the business world, the entertainment world, the marketing world, but we're not really that well tapped into the therapy world. We haven't really drawn on those resources a lot. We have a few people in our circle who have started using the ABT for like therapeutic and coaching practices. Patrick Barone, he is a lawyer slash practices psychodrama to help his clients. And also Devo Brown, he's a personal coach that uses ABT to help his clients clarify their goals, figure out where they're going in life. But it's still a pretty unexplored territory, or at least so I thought. And I wanted to go out and see if, like, really there's been anything really in depth done with narrative in, like, the coaching, therapeutic, psychological world. And what I found, well, first I came across this brilliant doctor, a psychotherapist named Dr. Diane Gehart. Gehart. I've never said it out loud. Gehart. Dr. Diane. Dr. Diane is a psychotherapist who's written multiple textbooks on any type of therapy you can possibly imagine. Her YouTube channel is a wonderful resource if you basically want to know about a type of therapy, say like internal family systems or something like that, and you want a college style lecture. Her YouTube channel is the place to go. Actually, I can pull it up here if you give me just 1 second. Here we go. Yeah, here it is. At Diane R. Gehart, PhD. So she is an incredible resource for just like getting an overview of different therapy types and very like high level college style lectures, really in depth, very detailed. Just a fantastic resource. And oh, look at this. Here is what I came across on her channel, Narrative Therapy with Diane Gehart. And I was like, well, is this it? Is this the Holy Land? Is this like the equivalent of what we're doing in our coaching? Not quite. It's kind of close. It's kind of there. What narrative therapy is about is looking at prevailing dominant narratives in a culture and seeing if you have any of those narratives imposed on you. And if you do, if any of those narratives imposed on you are causing you pain. If there are expectations that the dominant culture has about you that you are not fulfilling. Maybe it's about the kind of man or the type of woman you're supposed to be, or the type of jobs that you're supposed to have. Are any of those dominant narratives causing you pain or discomfort? Is there a more personal narrative somewhere buried deep inside you that you're supposed to be using instead? Are you supposed to be deconstructing that dominant narrative and constructing your own personal narrative? Very, very postmodernist, which is a word that normally like kind of puts me off a little bit, but in this case, I think it's kind of dead on because postmodernism is all about deconstructing narratives, cultural narratives. And in this case, if there's a narrative imposed on you that should not be imposed on you, like toxic values, goals that you don't agree with, and that like a deep part of you struggles with, like fights against because it's not who you are, then those might be some narratives worth deconstructing. Deconstructing, seeing if there's anything of value left in the parts of this dominant cultural narrative, and if so, maybe taking just those little bits and reconstructing a new narrative for yourself. And that's a little bit what we do. We're more about not so much deconstructing narratives. We're more about like focusing the existing narratives that you have. Like you have a narrative at your workplace. You have a narrative for your conservation movement that's trying to clean plastics for the ocean, from the ocean. You have a narrative there. But that narrative isn't the most clear thing in the world. It's actually kind of fuzzy, muddled. You're not thinking about it in the most efficient way. You're certainly not communicating it about it in the most efficient way. And that's what we do. We help you take that narrative and really focus it, really focus in on it, really clarify it, clarify your goals, clarify what it is that you want to accomplish, what the obstacles are that are in your way, what the actions are that you need to take to get past these obstacles. That's what we do. So that's kind of narrative therapy, but not really. And by luck, by chance, I happened to stumble across this video on Diane's channel, Solution-Focused Therapy. And my God, is it a home run as to what it is that we do. Like, by and large, a home freaking run. So, what is solution-focused therapy? Well, first, let's talk about the brain, because I love talking about the brain. I cannot shut up about the brain. You are probably going to be annoyed at some point about me talking about the brain, and for that, I apologize, but that is the world that you are just going to have to live in. I am sorry. So, the first thing I want to talk about the brain is the amygdala. Let me set this up. So, the big thing that I've seen from the therapy videos I've watched on this, on these solution-focused therapies and narrative therapies, is that therapists who practice these therapies have the exact same problems that Randy and I have when we're trying to coach our clients to communicate better. They are great. Our clients and therapeutic clients are great at talking about the problem. They are fantastic about it. They can problem at you all day long. Everything that's wrong with their project or everything that's wrong with their personal lives, they could go on for that about hours. But what everyone has huge difficulties with is talking about what they're trying to do positively, what their goals look like, what strategies they're using to get to those goals that will work really well, how much better their lives will be or the world would be if they employ these strategies and achieve their goals. People freaking suck at that. Like, wowza. And we thought maybe it's just a scientist academic thing. No, it's worse than that. This is a nature of human existence thing. People are really, really bad about talking about how much better the world could be if they set goals, if they accomplish what they're trying to accomplish. We just suck at that. And that's a problem. That's a huge problem, because if you look at research papers written by someone like Paul Slovic, who's done a lot of work into what motivates us, what really motivates us is knowing that what we're going to do will have a positive effect in the world. Knowing that what we're going to do is going to matter, is going to be important, is going to heal or help or assist someone else or ourselves. That's what motivates us. But we suck at that. We suck at getting clear at that. Why? Why? Dr. Diane fortunately has answers for me. So, now let's dive into talking about way too much about the brain. We have this thing in our brain called the amygdala. And let's do a visual aid, because I love visual aids. Here we go. This is our friend, the amygdala. And let's just change this a bit. Boop. There we go. A little bit more of the picture that way. This is our friend, the amygdala. Now, what does this guy do in our brain? It's first thing, the amygdala is part of like the more ancient part of our brain, like the limbic system, the animal lizard brain, as we call it. And it has a big job to do. So whenever we make a mistake in such a way that causes a negative emotion, say, for instance, you're at a party and you say something you really should not have said, something socially inappropriate. The party has stopped around you. People have stopped talking and are looking at you because of the thing that you just said. For example, nightmare, right? Well, that is when your amygdala activates and goes into overdrive. Its job is to take that painful memory and that painful emotional experience and stamp them into your brain so that you do not forget them. Thanks, amygdala. And it does this because it wants you to not repeat this in the future. This is going to be a warning from you to you in the future. Do not say that kind of stupid thing that you said in the future at parties. Maybe ixnay. And it does all of this automatically. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to put any effort into it. Bad thing happens, amygdala activates, stamps it into your memory. Boom. Now you've got it. So this is something that Dr. Dan Gerhardt made very clear. It's made very clear in her videos. That's kind of how this works. But my question, and here's a pop quiz, everyone. What is the brain system, the neural circuit, like the amygdala, that does the opposite? So it would work for, instead of times when things went really, really wrong, it would work for times when things went really, really right, when we achieve our goals, or when strategies that we employ work out. And it will take those good circumstances and the positive emotion that comes with them, it'll take them and stamp them into your brain. So this is a neural circuit that does that, and it does it automatically. It does it so that you will be able to think into the future and remember those past times when you did good things and be able to project into the future and think of other good things that you could do to help yourself. All on automatic. And it does it at the same intensity for positive emotions that the amygdala does for negative emotions. All right, so here's your pop quiz. What is the name of that neural circuit? Figured it out yet? Are you Googling furiously, trying to figure it out? Or you just sit there going, all right, what's the answer, Matthew? What's the answer? There isn't one. Nope, there isn't one. It does not exist. Like, the amygdala does it a little bit. It, you have a big momentous day, like your wedding day or something like that. Yeah, the amygdala is going to activate and help you remember that really positive thing. But by and large, it does not do it nearly as much for positive as it does for negative. We've all, I think most of us by now have heard of YouTubers or streamers who are like, yeah, I don't read the comments anymore, man. Like, if there's 100 comments and 99 of them are positive, but one of them's negative, that ruins my week. Why? Well, because your amygdala cranked up and jumped on that negative comment, stamping it into your mind. There is no positive equivalent to the amygdala. There is no cheerleader neural circuit like the amygdala that's helping you toward the positive. No wonder therapists and Randy and I are having problems getting this exact kind of thing out of our clients. So what's the answer here if we don't naturally have that neural circuitry? Well, the answer is our hero. Enter our hero, the prefrontal cortex. So we've got this automatic circuit in the back that's all bad, negative. Well, we can get our prefrontal cortex to be doing the opposite. Now, the prefrontal cortex, I think I can do another image. Yes. The prefrontal cortex is the higher order logical thinking part of our brain. It's the part of our brain that thinks. Like, if we're thinking thoughts like, what should I do today? Should I do this? Should I do that? That's the prefrontal cortex that we're activating. So what we can do is train it. We can train the prefrontal cortex to focus on remembering strategies that have worked, times that we've hit our goal, and use that information to project into the future and plan for getting things to go really, really well in the future and what that would look like specifically. That's something that we can do. So, great. That's great. We can do things like gratitude journaling to like help us remember, okay, times that have gone really, really well for us. I'm thankful that I did this right. I did that right. I'm thankful that I woke up early this morning and I went to the gym and that was a good behavior and that I keep doing this good behavior, reinforcing that sort of thing. You can use the prefrontal cortex to get really, really clear on goals, what it would look like if everything went to plan for things that you're trying to do. This is all great stuff. But here's the big problem with the prefrontal cortex. It is not automatic. No. Not only is the prefrontal cortex this hero that's supposed to rebalance us from our unbalanced amygdala, not only is it not automatic, it is one of the most cognitively expensive parts of the brain. Like it takes like some of the most energy to use, like, and mental effort. You have to really consciously focus and activate it if you want to use it. It's one of the last parts of our brain to develop. Like, we don't have a fully functioning prefrontal cortex until we are 25 years old. So it's only like partial strength up to then. And if we're feeling like moderate or high levels of stress, the amygdala can partially shut down the prefrontal cortex, making it incredibly inefficient. It's like, if you've never really known about how to practice making the prefrontal cortex do what it's supposed to be doing to help you, set goals, get clear on what's working in your life. If you've never done that, if you've never had that, it's like your entire brain can get amygdala possessed. Like, in the negative way. Like, not only is your amygdala back there thinking about all the horrible, or like helping you remember all the horrible things that have gone wrong, your prefrontal cortex can start chipping in and saying, hey, there's this other thing that could also go wrong, right? We should panic about that too, right? And the amygdala will be like, yeah, let's panic about that too. And it can be this like never-ending cycle of rumination, just thinking about terrible thing after terrible thing after terrible thing until you shut down and go into depression. And no wonder people have problems, right? Because they've never really gotten this different way to use their prefrontal cortex. Like, something didn't happen. And I think that's what this next type of therapy is supposed to do. So I earlier talked about narrative therapy. You're supposed to use that to like deconstruct, right? And maybe get focused on like what the better narrative for you is. Well, there's a different type of therapy that really focuses on this new construction that you should have in place of the old, like more toxic narrative running in your brain. And it's called solution-focused therapy. And Dr. Diane Gerhardt also has a wonderful video on solution-focused therapy as well. So if you want the nutshell of what solution-focused therapy does, it's basically what Randy and I do. Like, almost to a T. It's so crazy. We take someone's narrative and we focus it so that they get really clear on their goals, what the obstacles are in the way of those goals, and what specific steps you need to start taking to achieve those goals. So if you want to put that in ABT terms, it's goal, but obstacle, therefore action to achieve goal by getting through the obstacle. And that, in a nutshell, is what solution-focused therapy is. It's amazing. Like, after all this time, we've kind of found our therapeutic partner concept. But the one thing they're lacking is something quite as structured, like really, really specifically structured as the ABT. They don't seem to have that. It's a little looser, which is fine, like a little bit more conversational, back and forth, therapeutic that way. But I think there's a real value in this structured approach that might help speed people in the therapy world along. Now, I did find a couple gems in solution focused therapy that I can't wait to start using for ABT, for helping like conservation and global health groups with their narratives. The first concept is called Erickson hypnosis. And I know what you're thinking. Is this one of those, oh, watch my finger, or look at the swinging watch and you are getting sleepy? No, it's not that kind of hypnosis. It's more of a style of talking and questioning that is very positively focused in order to like get the brain thinking in more positive ways, getting that prefrontal cortex activated in more positive ways. We're trying to soothe the amygdala, not asking a lot of negative questions like, and how much worse can your life get? Like, no, let's move away from that. And instead, let's ask questions like, how much better can your life get? Okay, that bad thing's happening to you. That bad thing's happening in the world, in the environment, in politics, and whatever. Okay, that's happening. Sure. But if you got your way, how much better would things be? What would that look like? And solution-focused therapy has this wonderful, wonderful concept that's very similar to the heaven of the Matthew template. It's called the miracle question. And the miracle question is when you ask your therapy client, okay, so if you were to wake up tomorrow morning, let's say that when you wake up, what you don't know happened is over the course of the night, a miracle happened. You were asleep and a miracle happened. And when this miracle happened, all of your problems went away. Like everything bad that was keeping you down, that was causing you problems, went away. Everything got fixed overnight. What would that look like? Tell me, when you hit your alarm and you wake up, what happens? And often what clients will do, and this really echoes what our clients will do too, but what therapy clients will do is we'll say things like, well, I guess I wouldn't be depressed. Like, okay, that's something you wouldn't be. What would you be instead? Oh, well, I guess I wouldn't like be hitting the snooze like 10 times on my alarm. Okay, that's what you wouldn't be doing. What would you be doing? And it's this like gentle pushing and prodding until your client has to start really tackling how much better things could be. And I think that's just brilliant. What a great way of starting to train and engage the prefrontal cortex as to what the end goal is. Formulating a goal, an end result, a perfect day that you would say would be worth achieving. Not something that someone else made up for you, not some narrative that was imposed upon you, but your own narrative about how much better the world can be. Wouldn't that be great? I think that'd be pretty great. And apparently they are getting a lot of mileage out of that question over in the solution-focused therapy world. So if you want to learn more about that, I really recommend checking out Dr. Gehart's video on that over on her YouTube channel, Solution Focused Therapy, and also go ahead and check out Narrative Therapy too, and her video on internal family systems. Like she's just a gold mine of college level, professional, structured, perfect lectures as to how to learn more about all these different therapeutic practices. Give it a shot.